you can see here, 805,000 euros. That's at current conversions, 936,000 USD upwards. Let me reload this so you also see that this is actually true. I have to switch over here, and there you go. So as you just saw, that was over $936,000 in just one of my payment provider accounts. And here's the thing, I was able to generate close to $2 million by now, if not even more. I haven't checked in a while, but I have been able to do all of that without a proper degree. I'm actually a dropout, and we will get to that in a second. And without working crazy 18-hour days, like many people say you have to do. In reality, actually, just a few years ago, I was a normal student and I hated my life. So I dropped out of school because I realized that actually it's not gonna work. I thought that I'm gonna just keep studying, right? Gonna get my A grades, eventually become a doctor after going to university also for 4 or 5 years. But one day I came across a YouTube video that made me actually realize that entrepreneurship is way smarter than getting a degree, way smarter than becoming a doctor or an engineer as I thought I would become, because that's what my parents wanted me to be, right? They wanted me to be a high-paying employee. But I realized that that's not going to make me free. All the doctors I knew were working crazy hours and were exhausted at the end of the day, right? Because those jobs take a lot to fulfill. And when I realized that entrepreneurship is the way, I started to research online how to actually make it online. How can I generate income online? And I realized very soon that in nowadays age and in nowadays reality, entrepreneurship has become easier than ever. It's never been as easy as nowadays to make millions and millions of dollars, because we have the internet, because we have social media to market and sell products or services. Or hell, you can even just sell ad space like the biggest companies in the world, Google, Meta, and so on do. And the thing is, you don't need to be Meta or Google to make $1 million or $2 million like I did, right? All you need is a following. And when I realized that I just need a following, I started searching for ways to build a following, the fastest and easiest way. And while I was researching, I got my very first job, as I was actually considering just getting a normal job, not a high-paying job, as I quitted school, as I told you, 1 year before my A grades. And my parents were, of course, disappointed. They thought I'm going to be a bum, right? They thought I'm never going to make it, right? As they did not have the vision that I had. But I knew I'm going to make this work, right? So I got that job, and after 2 weeks, I was so exhausted. I had to wake up early. I had to drive with the bicycle to my workplace into another town. I actually grew up in Villingen. You can Google that. It's not too far from Stuttgart in Germany. And I was bicycling from Villingen to Ehningen, which is not that far. But the thing is, to get back home, I had to drive up a huge hill. And I got so tired of that bullshit. And in matter of fact, I was standing doing my job for 8 hours as well. As I first started at the machine, then I told my boss that I can't do this. I will quit if you will not put me in a different spot. And then he got me into logistics, which was a little bit better, but still I had to be a lot on my feet and do a lot of packaging, this and that. And I got really, really tired of it. And when the moment where it really clicked was when I was talking with a guy who literally was still single, 45 years old, and had been doing this job for the past 20 plus years. And he told me he never earned more than $3,000 a month. And his investment plan was to invest into the S&P 500 for the rest of his life, to retire eventually at 60 years old after doing a stupid, boring job that he actually hated, as he even told me himself. He just became so attached to it because he did it every single day that he gave himself a positive mindset about it. But in reality, he hated it, and he even told me that openly. And at home, he was still living with his mom, actually, and was there playing computer games the whole night. And he told me about how his mom comes in and tells him that he's a fucking loser. So at that point, I made that decision. I made up my mind. I'm gonna quit. I'm definitely not gonna become him and live in my mom's basement after 20 years of already having a job. And the thing is, he also had to pay a bunch of taxes on that 3K income. I don't want to imagine what it's like to live like that. And I'm really, really happy that I made this shift. And what actually made it possible for me to start earning online? Well, it's 3 keys. It's definitely, first of all, before I get to the 3 keys, it's definitely not dropshipping. It's definitely none of these business models, these fancy business models that all these gurus tell you about. As I said earlier, it's about having a following. And if you really look at all these gurus, what do they have in common? They all have an audience. They all have a following that they can sell to. What else they have in common? They sell a digital product or digital service, which is extremely scalable and has 90% profit margins. Yeah, you heard me right. No other business in the world has such high profit margins. Not enough. You can check the facts yourself. The creator economy is projected, the digital product economy is projected to become one of the biggest economies ever. It's projected in 2030 to reach $500 billion after just being there for like 10, 15 years. Isn't that crazy? I don't want to imagine how big the market is going to be in 20 years from now, right? And I'm definitely taking a slice of that. And you should too. So what are the 3 keys? As I mentioned, you want to have, first of all, a following. That's necessary. If you don't have a following, you don't have anyone to sell to. And any business in the entire world runs on sales. Before you say, I don't want to sell anything. Man, if you don't sell anything, you're not making any money. Any millionaire, any billionaire in the world started in sales. And I'm not saying you need to become a salesman. Heck no. I never sold on the phone and still made over $1 million. Now I started taking calls myself a little bit. But before that, I never even took a single sales call. Yes, I sold before that. Of course, I can't hire salespeople if I never have sold anything myself. I've sold in the DMs a little bit, this and that. But look, even if you don't sell at all, not in the DMs, not on the phone, you can still scale your online business by simply selling ad space on your faceless Instagram account. That's why a following is so powerful, because it gives you flexibility. It gives you freedom. You decide how much you make. You decide if you want to earn more. You decide how much you're going to aim for as a sales target for that month, right? The second thing is you gotta have a really, really profitable system, monetization system. And heck, that can be even simply selling ad space on your account, shoutouts, right? And it can be as simple as sending a PayPal link for businesses or influencers or other faceless pages in your niche to pay you so that they can advertise their account, products or services to your audience. Because when you own the eyeballs, you own the money. Because everyone wants to get in front of more people. Any business out there. Even if it's just gaining more followers. Even if it's just gaining more YouTube subscribers so they can make money through ad revenue, right? So those are the first 2 keys. And the third key is you gotta have guidance. Look, you can try to figure it all out by yourself. You can try to watch 1 billion YouTube videos. But by the time you actually figured out the full plan, those strategies have become outdated, right? Yes, the big picture you can learn, like what I just told you. This will work even in 10, 15 years. But the reality is you gotta know the small details. And the reality is on the path to actually achieving these 3 things at a high scale and with a really proper system so that you can eventually automate it, right? So in matter of fact, if you're not gonna have a mentor, if you don't have somebody who has already achieved 10K a month, or like me, even 2 million in sales online, how you expect to achieve it? How you expect to figure everything out by yourself? You're gonna take years and years. And at that point, you're probably not even gonna make the money anymore because somebody else had the mentor, had the guidance, and got there faster, right? And business is competitive, right? That's reality. If somebody is way faster than you in implementation, if somebody is learning way more than you, right, and has somebody who's already ahead of them guiding them, who you think is going to win? Who's going to take your market, right, your niche first? And of course, you don't have to be the biggest in your niche to be successful. Heck, even if you are the 20th who's doing it in your niche, you can still make millions and millions of dollars as long as you pick the right niche, right? Even if you would be the 100th, to be honest, right? And if you do it the right way, competition becomes irrelevant. But those things you're not going to learn without the mentor, right? In the end of the day, I've invested myself into myself 250K to earn those 2 million, right? And matter of fact, that's already a 4x return, right, on what I invested in myself. Matter of fact, though, is I have everything that I need to get to hundreds of thousands a month in between my ears, and I will get there, right? It's just a question of scaling now. So if you want my personal help to get to your first 5K, 10K online, or maybe you already do that and you want to scale towards 30, 40K or even more a month, right? I have several times already hit 100K in a month. Then check out the description. First of all, if you're a complete beginner and you don't know me yet that well, and you still feel like, oh, I don't know if I can trust this guy. Heck, just get my ebook. It's $17. It has a 6-day money back guarantee. But if you're confident that you really want me as your mentor, you want me to guide you through the entire process and to guaranteed results as long as you implement, then book a call and let's discuss how I can potentially help you get there.